The time has come. Growing season 2025 is here. Let's get right into what we can plant in February. We'll cover classic favorites and sprinkle in some unique options to keep things exciting. Let's go! First up, let's start with a common crop, peppers. There's something special about biting into a fresh, homegrown sweet pepper in late summer. They're crisp, refreshing, and incredibly sweet. I grew some absolute beauties last year. Since peppers like taking their time when sprouting and growing, starting them early is a wise choice. They need warm soil to germinate. Around 85 degrees Fahrenheit is ideal, and they typically take about 7 to 10 days to sprout. If the temperature of the soil is below 55 degrees Fahrenheit, then your seeds might not sprout at all. Using a trusty heat mat ensures steady warmth, leading to consistent germination. Not only do peppers grow slow, they also produce late for me in zone 7A. The peppers really start ripening and kicking out their fruit about the same time that I want to start my fall garden, which can be a bit inconvenient. What I did the last few years, and I'm doing this year as well, is I'm planting most of my peppers in containers. If I start them a bit early and they're ready to transplant, I can easily pot them up into a larger container. This also makes it so they don't take up prime real estate in my garden the whole growing season. So when it's time for me to transition from the summer garden over to the fall garden, I don't have my peppers there in the way. Next is an interesting and exciting crop to grow. It's an annual in the nightshade family. It's not tomatoes, it's not peppers. It is ground cherries. They are a hidden gem in the garden. With their naturally sweet flavor and unique husked casings, they're like little garden presents to unwrap. Ground cherries have small seeds that take about 7 to 14 days to germinate when the temperature of the soil is about 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. They don't need light to germinate, but will require bright conditions once they sprout. I love ground cherries because they feel like they're something completely different than like a typical fruit or veggie. They're an annual, but it almost feels like they're a perennial, and it's such a fun one when people come to visit the garden to give them it because it's something they probably have never seen before, and they really are like mini presents. You unwrap them and they're filled with this delicious surprise. One thing to note is that they can easily reseed themselves and spread out a lot. Look down here. This was a ground cherry from last year, and I left some of the husks. If you don't want them to reseed, you got to go out and collect these husks, because you open one of these up and look how many seeds are in it. So there are a lot of seeds. If you don't want these to reseed, make sure you remove them in the winter. Let's shift to a crop you may not have thought to start from seed, but if you do, you will gain a big advantage. I'm talking about good old asparagus. This is the first perennial we harvest in the spring. Right when our body is craving some nutrient-dense food after a long winter, asparagus comes through in the clutch. In the past, the asparagus I have planted are from roots that I purchased. Like this, you can get the production quicker, but there is a catch. Asparagus are either male or female, and the males tend to be much more productive than the females because the females use a lot of their energy on the production of berries and seed. If you start your asparagus from seed, what you can do is you can wait and see which are male and female, and then remove those female plants and then only plant out the male ones. This way your whole patch is way more productive. If you want, you could even save your own asparagus seed. If you notice in here, you have a patch, these little red berries, this is where the seed is going to be. We can grab this, squish it in a paper towel, and then plant these right out to have our own asparagus seed growing. You'll notice this patch, it's all dead. I can cut it back. I was just leaving it to show you guys. With my asparagus patch at the end of the season, when there's no more green in it, this is what I do with it. I'll cut it back and lay the asparagus on top of the crowns to protect them over the winter. Asparagus seeds usually take about 14 to 21 days to germinate when the temperature of the soil is 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Once they sprout, move them under a bright light or into a greenhouse if you have one. You'll notice to start my seeds, I'm always using the Vego seed cells. These ones are my favorite. They're incredible quality, super sturdy and strong. One thing that I love about them so much, besides the fact that they have these nice holes and air strips so your roots can breathe, is these individual covers. It's super convenient when you start a few different kinds of seeds in one tray, and something like, say, your ground cherries sprout, you could take that cover up, but maybe you have peppers here and they haven't sprouted yet, but you can still keep those covered. So it's really convenient. Plus they have these little drip irrigation things at the top. You can pour water in and make sure your seeds stay hydrated. Without a doubt, the best cells I've ever used. You gotta grab one of these seed bundles now over at teamgrow.us. Right now is a great time to start getting your celery planted. Despite its reputation, celery isn't tough to grow, and it's a joy to go out into the garden and grab a harvest from it. It loves rich, nutrient-dense soil that has a consistent level of moisture. Celery seeds require light to germinate, so gently press them onto the surface of the soil and then mist them with water. They sprout in about 10 to 14 days at temperatures between 70 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Next up is a common crop you cannot forget to plant in February, and it is lettuce. Lettuce is an excellent cold hardy veggie that comes in so many different colors and styles. It can withstand a light frost and grows quick. I start planting my lettuce in late February and continue to sow it every 2 weeks to make sure I have a steady future harvest. Lettuce has small seed and doesn't like to push up through a lot of soil or mulch. It's best to sow lettuce seeds on the surface of the soil. Then press them gently into the soil, but do not completely cover them because lettuce seeds need light to germinate. Cover them with a plastic cover to maintain a consistent level of moisture. They germinate well at 60 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. The ideal temperature is 68 degrees Fahrenheit. One tool that I love to use, which makes planting things like lettuce and arugula super fast and easy, is this Vego plant and pop board. It's really convenient. You just grab this 76 cell tray, fill this thing with soil, take the plant and pop board, drop it on top, and it lines right up. Then you could go and just place your seeds in here really easily and really quickly. Take the top off, water your plants in, and then in just a couple weeks, this thing will be loaded with lettuce. It's super convenient, super easy, and a really efficient, fast way to get some of those tiny seeds planted. Now, let's jump into a perennial fruit. You can start from seed in February, and the fruit is strawberries. There's nothing quite like tasting a fresh, homegrown, organic, sun-ripened strawberry straight from the garden. They're sweet, juicy, and packed with flavor. If you want to get to production quick, the best thing to do is to buy bare root strawberry plants that have already been started. That's what I've done in the past. But if you want to try something a bit different, you can start your strawberries from seed. It's just going to set you back about a year. Strawberry seeds are tiny, so be careful when planting. Often, the size of the seed dictates how deeply it should be planted. So a tiny seed like this, we don't want to be planting them deep at all. They don't need light to germinate, and they like relatively cool temperatures, about 60 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. You can set them in a room in your house, and once you see them starting to sprout, bring them to an area that gets light. Just make sure you keep them moist and covered. Strawberry seeds take a while to sprout, about 2 to 4 weeks, so be patient. Make sure to come by and regularly check on them, and also remove the covers so the soil could air out and you don't get any mold or anything growing or any fungus on the surface of your soil. Another crop we can get planted in February are eggplants. Eggplants grown at home are worlds apart from store-bought ones. They're mild, sweet, and not bitter at all. You can get white ones, purple ones, and even orange ones. They have similar germination needs to peppers, requiring about 75 to 85 degrees temperature for the soil, and they take about 7 to 14 days to sprout under those conditions. Just like peppers, I like growing my eggplants in containers. This allows me to get the most out of my garden space, and it also allows me to move those eggplants around and put them in locations that get good light that maybe something else isn't growing in. Next, we can get some flowers planted like marigolds and zinnias. Having flowers in the garden not only beautifies it, but it also brings in beneficial insects and pollinators. Here is how I get my marigolds planted. They like the soil temperature to be warm, ideally 75 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. With those conditions, they'll take about 4 to 7 days to sprout, and we plant them about a 1/4 inch deep. You don't have to plant them very deep at all. Zinnia seeds will typically take about 4 to 8 days to germinate if the soil temperature is about 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. They don't like light when germinating, so make sure you keep these in a dark spot till they sprout. Now is also a good time to start planting your onions and chives. Pulling up some fresh onions from the garden is a great feeling. To see that nice fat bulb you can use for cooking, it's so rewarding. Typically, I grow my onions from sets because you'll get the production quicker and it's more convenient. But if you want, you could grow your onion from seed. This gives you the option to grow different kinds of varieties that maybe they don't sell in the stores as sets. Onions prefer the temperature of the soil to be about 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and they take anywhere from 7 to 21 days to germinate. Chives germinate faster in about 7 to 14 days. February is when I start planting my kale and Brussels sprouts. I love kale. It's one of my all-time favorite greens to eat. I like the dazzling blue kale, the red Russian kale, and all the other great varieties. Both kale and Brussels sprouts are cold hardy, so it's a great time of year to get them started. Kale germinates quickly. Within 5 days, when the temperature of the soil is between 60 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Brussels sprouts take a long time from seed to reach maturity, so I like starting them in February. When it comes to some of the other common brassicas like your cauliflower, your cabbage, and your broccoli, I wait till March to plant those, but I like planting my kale and my Brussels sprouts now because kale we're just eating for the leaves, and Brussels sprouts, that takes a long time to reach maturity. There are also some great herbs we can start in February. In particular, now is when I start planting my parsley. Parsley is an herb you cannot go a season without. An absolute staple and also an easy crop to grow and super cold hardy one. When it comes to parsley, we want to soak the seeds in warm water for 24 hours before planting. It prefers soil temperatures between 50 and 70 degrees to germinate. Under those conditions, it'll take about 2 to 6 weeks to sprout, and parsley has tiny seeds, so make sure not to bury them deep. Next up, we have a crop that Bill Mollison would say Americans just don't plant enough of. I'm talking about Swiss chard. Swiss chard is such an underrated plant. It looks beautiful, it's productive, it's easy to grow, and you plant it once in the spring and it continues to kick out food all year long. The optimum soil temperature when germinating Swiss chard seeds is about 60 to 85 degrees, so there's a relatively large range. Typically, they'll germinate in about 5 to 7 days at those temperatures, but they can take up to 3 weeks to germinate if the soil temperature is cool. There are a group of crops that you can get planted now, and they are Asian greens. Everything from tatsoi to bok choy, mizuna, mustard greens, maruba santo, and many more. I will even throw arugula in here because it's similar to the germination requirements, but it does sprout quicker than any of the other Asian greens. When it comes down to it, most of these are all in the brassica family. They're super easy to germinate and get sprouted. You want to just make sure when they do sprout that they have a good amount of light and also that it's not super warm. If it's too hot when these sprout, they will start to get leggy. These are cold hardy plants. Before I let you go, I gotta leave you with a few bonus crops. They are tomatoes and basil. A garden would not be complete without some tomatoes. Probably the greatest possible crop to grow. The colors, the sizes, the shapes, the flavors, nothing else compares. If you have the space, consider starting some tomatoes and some basil indoors now, even though it's early. So your tomatoes are only going to take about 7 days to sprout at temperatures between like 70 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit. And they're going to grow quicker than something like your peppers or even your eggplants. So you want to make sure you have a good location to put those tomatoes in, because I'm telling you, if you start them now, they're going to be ready to be transplanted into the garden in only about 4 or 6 weeks. That's how long it takes. So around here, I don't plant my tomatoes into the garden till the 2nd week of May. Technically, I can wait till the 1st week of April to start my tomatoes, and then that's 6 weeks to the 2nd week of May. So again, if you're gonna start your tomatoes now, it's super early. Make sure you have a space to put them. When it comes down to it, if you don't have the space, just be patient and wait to plant your tomatoes. Sometimes planting stuff too early can actually become a bigger hassle than planting it a bit too late or right on time. That's today's video, growers. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you got something out of it. We hope you get out there and get a lot of these planted like ASAP, so you can make sure you ensure yourself fantastic, diverse harvest heading into spring and summer. Even though it's cold out and bitter and there's probably more snow in the future, it's still a lot of fun to start getting that stuff growing inside. Even though it doesn't feel like it's the right time, it's the right time if you want to get a jump start on things and you just want to take advantage of the year as much as you possibly can. I had a blast. It's been a lot of fun. It's one of our first videos without Tuck running around in it, but I'm still sprinkling him in the videos because he really helped build this whole entire channel. The last video we made, which was about Tuck, that thing had 6,000 comments after only maybe 100,000 views. That's the most commented on video we've ever had. So I just wanted to thank everyone for your support, for sharing love with Tuck. It means the world to me, and I just am so grateful, and you guys just shock me every time with your kindness and just how nice you are to Tuck and us. It's just it's really uplifting, and we appreciate you guys, and that's what really motivates us. Me and Tuck wanted to send a thank you to one of our new channel members, Dune Toon KC. Thanks for being a part of Team Grow. Thanks for having your hand in everything we're doing out here. If you guys want to be part of the team, just hit the join now button down low, or just start some of your own seeds at home, start growing some of your own food, and share that with others. That's how you be part of Team Grow. The goal is to get everyone growing in their backyard, just one backyard at a time. So you start a garden, you share that with someone else, and everything grows exponentially. And then as a team, we're growing a better future together. That's the goal. Also, check out teamgrow.us. We've got our blog there. We've got literally hands down the best gardening equipment by far out there. The greenhouse, the seed bundles, the raised beds, whatever you could think of that would improve your garden, we have it. So go check out the website. Overall, a lot of fun. Nothing like growing season, a new year, new goals, new hopes, new dreams, and new delicious fruit to snack on. I had a blast. We'll be back again real soon. We